Currently, we're in the Baha'i Gardens, which are located on Yefanov Street 61 in Haifa, Israel. We're in Haifa Bay in the Mediterranean Sea, the only place in Israel where the sea is to the north and not to the west. On the other side of the bay is the city of Akko. To the right of the gardens are the beginning of the Galilee Mountains. The story of the Baha'i starts in Persia, or Iran today, in 1844. The Baha'i faith was founded by Sayyid Ali Muhammad, who marched into the city of Shiraz and proclaimed himself to be a prophet. He chooses the spiritual name of the Bab. The Bab in Arabic means the gate. He says that he is the gate for which humanity will enter a new era, an era of peace and harmony and complete equality in the face of God. In the Baha'i religion, there is only one God, so it is monotheistic. The ideas that the Bab pushes about equality of men and women are loved in the 19th century, so he soon has a large following in Persia. His first 18 disciples follow him as a prophet and have a special place in the religion because they were the first 18. Together with the Bab, that's 19. That's a holy number for the Baha'is. But we have to remember that Persia is Shiite Islam, just like Iran today. And according to Islam, Muhammad is the last prophet. One of his names means the seal of all prophets. There cannot be a prophet after him. When the Bab proclaims himself to be a prophet, he commits a sin against Islam and gets punished. The government proclaimed the Bab an enemy of Islam and puts him in prison for 3.5 years, after which they publicly execute him and throw his body outside the city walls. They didn't even allow his followers to bury him on the sacred land of Persia because they were afraid of a pilgrimage point. The disciples, the first 18, pick up the body and keep it in different locations for almost 60 years before the Bab could be brought to proper burial. Before the Bab was executed, he told his followers that his purpose was to prepare humanity for the coming of another prophet who would be greater than him. In 1863, 13 years after the execution of the Bab, another man rises up in the city of Tehran. Most of the followers accept him as the leader of the religion. He kept preaching the philosophies of the religion, harmony and equality. But unfortunately, still in Persia and same Islam, the government would not accept the new Bab either. The new Bab chooses the spiritual name of Baha'u'llah, which means the glory of God. That's where the Baha'is get their names. Baha'is are the glorious. Baha'u'llah was the son of the main minister in Persia, which made it hard for the Muslim government to get rid of him. The government could not execute someone that important, so they chose to exile him. They took Baha'u'llah, his family and followers, and threw them to Baghdad, a little bit towards the Ottoman Empire, at the time in control of most of the Middle East. That's where he actually becomes a prophet, and his followers began to grow significantly in number. He becomes a real problem for the Ottoman Empire, where the religion was Sunni Islam. They take him from Baghdad to Istanbul, then to Alexandria in Egypt. But Baha'u'llah doesn't learn his lesson and keeps preaching the philosophies of the religion. So the Ottoman Empire takes Baha'u'llah and his family and his male followers to the worst penal colony in the Ottoman Empire, where the conditions are horrible. Malaria and other diseases. People that come here usually just die. They put him across the bay in the city of Akko. In just a few weeks, many of his followers died because of the horrible conditions. But Baha'u'llah not only survives, but after 3 years, he convinces the local government that he is going to help them control their religion. He still is a prisoner, but in house arrest. Eventually, he is set free as the Ottoman Empire crumbles in late 19th century, but Baha'u'llah stays in Akko for another 19 years. He is buried in Baji, where he spent his last 19 years. Baji means happiness, and Baji is the holiest place for the Baha'is. All the Baha'i believers always pray towards Akko, like the Jews towards Jerusalem and Muslims towards Mecca. When Baha'u'llah was in prison in Akko, he looked across the bay at this mountain every day. This mountain, the Carmel mountain, the origin of the name probably comes from Kam and El, the divine vineyard of the Lord. And this mountain is holy because this is where Elijah the prophet from the Bible performed all his miracles. This mountain is considered holy for the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, and the Druze. Baha'u'llah came here with his son and instructed him to bury the Bab on this mountain. In 1909, Abdul Baha, the son, brings the remains of the Bab from Persia and he is buried here, in the building with the golden dome. Some people call it a shrine or a temple, but it's actually a mausoleum. And this is considered to be the second most holy place for the Baha'i religion worldwide. When Abdul Baha buried the Bab in 1909 in a small one-story building in the place of the dome with a small garden around it, he wrote that his biggest wish is for the gardens to start at the very top of the mountain and cascade down to the bottom. That they would be so big and beautiful, and people from all over the world would come to look at them. The Baha'is believe that the holy places should always be beautiful, and beauty is often measured by symmetry. These gardens are not built here for tourists, they're built for the Baha'i pilgrims, who come here at least once in their lifetime. The gardens have 19 terraces, because 19 is a holy number, as you remember, the Bab and his 18 disciples. So 19 is a holy number in the Baha'i religion. The Baha'is have their own calendar, which has 19 months and 19 days. There are 4 days missing that are added up at the end of the year, and they're called the 4 days of generosity. That's how the Baha'is can keep up with the rest of us. There are 700 Baha'i volunteers here on the premises. Some of them are security, some of them are gardeners. There are 100 gardeners who take care of these gardens 5 days a week, so they can barely keep up with the work. 70 are professional Israeli personnel who is paid, and 30 are Baha'i volunteers. The rest of the volunteers work in the administration offices on the right of the gardens. There are 2 very important elements present in the garden: water and light. Water is the symbol of life, and light is very present in Israel. I filmed this video on the beginning of March, so this is what the Israeli call winter. In the summer it is very sunny, and the architect who built these gardens also put 2,200 light bulbs to illuminate the gardens in the evening and at night. When the Bab was imprisoned, he lived in complete darkness. So this is why light is so important in this garden, so the Bab is never left in darkness. These terraces were built in 12 years and costed $250 million. The Baha'is believed in one God who created one people, that is all of humanity. For them, he created planet Earth. The Baha'is don't look at nationalities, they don't see countries, and not even languages. For them, we're all just one people. Throughout history, God sent them a series of divine teachers. We call them prophets. They brought us the divine lesson of how we should live our lives. So the Baha'is accept and believe in all the prophets who come from all the monotheistic religions, starting with Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and they add their 2 prophets, the Bab and Baha'u'llah. They say that every prophet sent the divine message to that people at a certain time and place. They think that all religions are the same. They all preach the same fundamental spiritual truths. Thou shalt not kill, steal, shall love your parents. They're all basically the same. The message brought by prophets addresses certain people at a certain place and time. However, today the most modern, relevant message is that of Baha'u'llah. It is written in the Baha'is Kitab-i Aqdas, or the holiest book. The original is kept here in Baha'i in the archive. They keep the original writings of the Bab and Baha'u'llah in the archive. Baha'u'llah wrote over 100 books in his lifetime, including the prayer book. Every Baha'i follower must pray at least once a day, but the Baha'is don't have any kind of clergy, which means they don't have any houses of worship. The relationship between every Baha'i follower and God is very private and individual. The 3 things that the prayer place has to meet in order for a Baha'i to pray is the place has to be clean, quiet, and the follower has to be facing Akko. The Baha'is don't have any dietary restrictions, but they can't drink alcohol at all. They don't abuse any kind of drugs. They refrain from violence because their aspiration is peace. They don't swear, and they try very hard not to lie. One interesting thing about the Baha'i religion is that it's the only monotheistic religion that you can't inherit. There are no Baha'i babies. The Baha'is can marry whomever they want, men and women. When there is a child born in a Baha'i family, it doesn't matter if both parents are Baha'i or just one, the child is considered to be without religion for the first 15 years of its life. They believe that the Baha'i religion is something that a person has to